From the street of New York, the royal cities of London, and the bustling cities of Europe, Voice of the People Television brings to you a roundtable and collage of interesting views from Nigerians in diaspora.
Join the host of the show and some Nigerians in diaspora, Dr. Damages, the flagship, show, and KJ, as they discuss the experiences, challenges, and triumphs of Nigerians living abroad.
Discussing and analyzing everything from politics, culture, policies, career success, and how Nigerians are staying connected to their roots. Showing every Saturday by 2 p.m. West African Time and 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time.
The Diaspora Perspective, giving a voice to Nigerians abroad.
Hello there, good afternoon, and welcome to another interesting edition of Diaspora Perspective Show, home and abroad on Voice of the People Television, VOP. Oh well, today is the 7th day of December, 2024. December, just like yesterday that we had 1st of December. We're already on the 7th, and December is like running as fast as it can. Oh well, let's see how it goes before the end of this month. Maybe we'll get one or two good news about Nigeria and the world as a whole. Now, I am Chukwuma Okoro, your host for today's show. You also understand that on the Diaspora Perspective Show, we discuss different political, governance, economic, and developmental issues in Nigeria. It's more like an exchange of ideas with Nigerians in the diaspora, to see how we can learn from each other, the experiences of people that live in developed countries, and how we can use those experiences that we don't have to. We have to rely on the experience of history. We don't have to spend as long as they spend to get to where they are. That is the major essence of this show. It's more like a collaboration where we learn, exchange ideas so that Nigeria can be a better place. Before we get into very interesting topics that we have today, we encourage you to click on the like button and subscribe to our page. On YouTube, we are Voice of the People TV, and on other social media platforms, you are at VOP TV Live. You can also visit our website, for more interesting stories, interesting and trending stories. We are at www.vop.ng. Today, we are going to be looking at Nigeria and France as they sign MOU to transform solid mineral sector. I'm going to talk about the controversial tax reform bills. The tax reform bill it's something that is on the front burner now. Some people are saying the bill is good. Others are saying, no, we don't want to travel in that direction. That is one of the topics we are going to talk about. We also talk about easing travel restrictions to boost intra-African trade. And we have the African Continental Free Trade Agreement in focus. How come Africans are trading more with Europeans, with Asians, with Americans, than they trade with themselves? We are going to explore all of these topics. Well, before we'll get into these topics, I would like to introduce my guest. I have in the studio with me Dr. Dayo Kayode. Dr. Kayode is political analyst and socio-political technocrat and an aviation safety expert. I'm also joined virtually by Dr. Damages. Dr. Damages is a satirist, a writer, a journalist, and an adjunct professor at the School of Visual Arts in New York, United States of America. I also have the Flagship. Flagship is a clinical research operations lead and business entrepreneur based in Atlanta, Georgia, United States of America. We also have KJ. KJ is a media production and training expert and joins us from Maryland, United States of America. We also have Forefathers. Forefathers is an engineer with interest in strategic politics and national security issues and joins us from United Kingdom. Gentlemen, thanks and welcome to this show. Dr. Kayode, good to have you.
I go to America and I'm joining you from America too.
No, thank God you are here with me. You are not going to Jabba and leave me here alone. We die here together.
We're not even going to die here. We're going to live here.
No, we'll live here. Yes. We'll live. Thanks very much for that. Gentlemen on the diaspora, good afternoon once again. Thanks for having you on this show.
Thank you for having us.
All right, that's Forefathers. Dr. Damages.
Yes, nice to be back. Thank you.
Okay, KJ. KJ, are you there?
KJ is not here yet.
Or how about Flagship?
Flagship is here, but I think the connection is problematic. I don't think I see him.
He might need to unmute himself. Just ask him to unmute himself. Okay, Flagship, if you can hear me, please unmute yourself. All right, as he does that, I would also like to introduce our correspondent from Oka, Ndu Okbaleze. Ndu is a VOP correspondent in Oka. Ndu, good to have you on this show, and good afternoon once again.
Good afternoon. Thank you.
Before we get into the major topics of discussion, a few other things trended in Nigeria within the week. And one of those things is that the Ekiti State Police Command has defended its arrest of human rights lawyer Delo Farotimi, stating that he ignored multiple summons. Farotimi, detained in Lagos and transported to Ekiti, faces defamation charges linked to his book criticizing Nigeria's justice system. The Chief Magistrate Court in Ado Ekiti has ordered his remand until December 10, 2024. Critics have condemned the arrest's manner, but police have also maintained that it was lawful, citing a court order after Farotimi allegedly spread false news and defamed a senior advocate of Nigeria. Wonderful. Quite interesting. Anyway, we also heard that in the UK, that the UK Immigration Tribunal has ordered the deportation of Toby Adeboyega, head pastor of Spark Nation, amid claims of financial mismanagement and fraud. Former church members accused the church of being a cult that exploits young people. Adeboyega, who has lived in the UK unlawfully since 2025, cited human rights in his defense, but the tribunal found his influence exaggerated and ruled against him. Oh well. We also heard that court papers revealed that the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has linked former Central Bank of Nigeria Governor Godwin Emefiele to a massive property in Abuja with 755 duplexes. The Efcc announced this as its biggest single recovery since 2003. Emefiele faces multiple charges, including procurement fraud and forgery. The Efcc alleges that he used kickbacks and cronies to acquire several properties, including the estate. Gentlemen, I would like for us to have our quick takes on this issue. But before we do that, I would like for the tech team to play a video of Pastor Toby Adeboyega, how he's been living large in the UK, at the mercy, at the expense of his church members. Meanwhile, his lawyer has come out to debunk the news that, look, that he is not facing any deportation charge. Let's just look at the video before we'll get into talk a bit about it and then move on to the major topics of discussion. Okay, yes, I can hear you. Okay, that's the video. That's the video where he's displaying a Ferrari.
Look at the crazy Jesus.
I mean, look at the G. Look at the wristwatches and living large. And someone just said that, look, pastor is just nothing but a name. Pastor is just nothing but a name. Well, let me come first to you, Dr. Kayode.
Yeah, you see,
what do you have to say, like quick takes on these three topics?
I will start with Dele Farotimi. You see, it's a pity that in this country, we are now living in a banana republic where anything goes. Okay, let's even assume Dele Farotimi has slandered somebody. Where did it happen? Was it not in Lagos? So why was it transferred to Ekiti? The police are now claiming that, yes, they have invited him severally. But I read the story myself. When he was first invited, he went there. And he was now released on bail, on personal recognition. According to the story, he was supposed to come back, maybe about 2 weeks to that time. But police now went to his friend's church, Pastor Dami, whatever,
Yes.
Went to his friend's church to abduct one of his pastors and then asking that one to be writing against him. Then why was he now arrested before the day he was supposed to go back to the police station and then driven to Ekiti?
Exactly.
Now, driven to Ekiti. Why to Ekiti? That's number one.
That is the question.
Number two, is it not a bailable offense?
Defamation.
Why is he now being held
even if he committed a crime, the crime was supposedly committed here in Lagos.
In Lagos,
So
why
do
to
you have to
Ekiti?
take him to Ekiti?
Now let's even assume Ekiti again. Is it not a bailable offense? Why is he being detained? Is it not because he has been a critic of the government? Because sometimes, most often, even all of the time, when you see the legbe that is dancing on top of what I call lulu fulabe odo, I will interpret for you. Don't worry. When you see that small fly dancing on top of the water, there are some drummers underneath the water that is dancing to their tune.
Now, Dr. Kayode, before you move on, I read something yesterday where the Yoruba elders are pleading with Afe Babalola to release Dele Farotimi. And I asked the question, why plead with Afe Babalola? Is Afe Babalola the one holding him? Is it not the magistrate?
Well, you see, in another Yoruba adage, they will say, kò sí bó ṣe fẹ́ pe orí ìkòkò tán ní pe ìkòkò tán fi sè. There is this animal known as ìkòkò.
Okay.
There is no way you will talk about how the head of that animal was cooked without mentioning the name of the pot you used to cook it. So there is no way, because this scenario, all we are seeing now, has to do between Baba Afe and Dele.
Okay.
But as a Yoruba man, and as an Ekiti man for that matter, Baba Afe is an elderly figure, respected figure in Ekiti. So I wouldn't want to delve into him, rather delve into the action itself.
Exactly.
Into the action itself. Are we now saying
justice system
that we can use our stature? We can use our stature to suppress or to oppress citizens? Are you with me? Citizens? Or are we now saying, because somebody is a big man somewhere, some people are now acting psychophantly?
All right.
Do you understand?
I do.
To now show that Baba, we love you. We're helping you to detain this person.
I think what is going on in Ekiti State between Dele Farotimi and Afe Babalola, I think it's scary, and it's
scary.
It's a sign, to the trajectory our democracy is taking.
It's scary.
I will come back.
But meanwhile, let me quickly talk about that guy, that pastor.
Okay, the pastor.
You see, it is appalling. It is appalling that even the argument he gave, as written, discussed by his lawyer, that yes, I am doing this because of the youth, and I am the one that have been advising the youth. But meanwhile, the lifestyle you said you are living it on the salary of your wife. He said the wife earns £100,000 per annum, and that is what you are using to further your expenses. So are you now saying the youths that you are mentoring should now be idle too, and then be looking for a woman that they can now? I mean, you can see the contradiction. Yes, let the guy be deported back to Nigeria.
It's exemplary.
It's not a good example. It's not a good example to the youth, and that is why we also say this. The kind of lifestyle that our so-called religious leaders are living, they are not to be showcased to our youth.
Okay, that's fine. Dr. Dayo, I will come back to you. Let me bring in our correspondent from Oka. Undo, good afternoon once again. Good afternoon, Undo. Good afternoon, Undo. Undo, can you hear me? Undo, you might need to unmute yourself.
It's technical, not.
Okay. While we are trying to fix that glitch, let me bring in the guy from diaspora. Dr. Damages, let me come to you first. Please, can we have your quick takes on any of those three topics, those three trending topics that we touched on?
Okay, about Pastor Toby, I feel I'm in the wrong business. If I had been a pastor, I've been memorizing the Bible, I would have been I would have been doing very well, more than I'm doing now.
Dr. Damages, I know you're a satirist. Is that the direction you are going this time around?
Yeah, I think so. Because, what are we going to be saying? We've been saying all these things all this while and nothing has changed. What is important about his case is really that the God that they usually talk about and preach about is not saving him from deportation. That should be our concern, that despite all he did for God, it's not saving him. That should tell us something. But about Dele Farotimi, which is a serious issue, I think I feel bad for him. And I think it exposes these people we call elders and the people we call that have what we call old money. The young generation, what Afe Babalola doesn't understand is that the world has changed. There are a lot of people, young people today, who do not know who he is, do not care that he had 60 years legacy in judiciary. They will judge him based on this last act of his. And it won't be a nice judgment that will come out of it. If he was worried about his reputation, what history will remember will be this last action. There was no reason to take this kind of action he took. When Dele Farotimi is not someone who is going to disappear, who is not running away, he ended up making his case very, very difficult. When they say that corruption is power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely, it was an illustration. His behavior was just an illustration. Now people are asking questions about who he is, how he made his money, how could it be that he had 10 million pounds to give to King's College. So there are many questions about him that are coming up now. Young people who are not going to be cowing down to him and saying we are going to respect him. He's an elderly man. He's an old lawyer. He's a senior lawyer. They don't care about these things. They are judging him based on this action, and that is not going to be good for him. The other story about Godwin Emefiele. It's so sad, and I hear people say that, he's not the only one that has stolen money, you have to give him credit that he invested it in Nigeria. This is so ridiculous how people think. When you talk about that, people say, why are you not talking about other people? We talked about other people when they did their own thing. This is the man of the moment, and we are going to talk about it. And the fact that he invested in Nigeria or he built those houses does not give him cover. We're not going to thank him for stealing money and building houses in Nigeria. I don't get our people.
I think it's not only ridiculous, it's also quite unfortunate that Nigerians think in that direction. Somebody steals money and another person says, is it the first person that has stolen money?
Excuse you? It's appalling.
It's
appalling when people are even saying, look at this government, look at what they have done. They will say, yes. What did the other political party did?
Quite unfortunate.
Quite unfortunate.
Okay, Flagship, let's have you now. Let's have your take.
Good morning, Mr. Chukwuma. Can you hear me?
Good morning to you in Atlanta and good afternoon from Nigeria. I can hear you loud and clear.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Here's my quick. I'll start with Dele's case. It's unfortunate. We're in a very, very serious position right now as a country, Nigeria. If this does not alarm anybody in Nigeria of what is happening, most especially to Dele Farotimi, then I don't think we are cut out to come out of where we're heading to. Subjudication of justice, I guess, is the main topic of Dele's book. I haven't read the whole book. I bought it. I've listened to him. He's been on our show before. But I think now I'm really beginning to dig deeper into what he's doing and also look at who Afe Babalola is. Everything that Dele talked about in his book, from the summaries that I've seen, is exactly what is playing out today. So I don't see why he should be blamed for what he wrote in his book. If what he wrote was incorrect or tarnishing of Babalola's image, I think there's a proper way to address this kind of matters. In the West here, for example, if somebody comes out, say somebody writes a book about Joe Biden after he gets out of office and thinks that, oh, Joe Biden thinks that that's his character being assassinated, there is a legal process that it goes through. Joe Biden cannot commandeer the police, the FBI, the SSS, or any government security apparatus to go after that person. Number one, it is not their role. It's not their duty to do that. Number two, it is state funds. He cannot use state funds, which the security officials are being paid with, to do his own personal bidding, no matter what it is. But here's what I want to think, and I'm going to try to think differently from what people are thinking. I kind of have an opinion that Afe Babalola may not be the one doing this. I think it's over 90 now. It's those that are underneath him who feel that they have to fight for him that are doing this. The man himself may not be the one giving these orders for Dele Fatorimi to be arrested. It's those that are underneath him or working in his firm, or those that think that this is a slight on his image. So I want to, until I hear directly from Afe Babalola, I would want to think differently, that he's the one giving these commands for justice to be subjugated, and also for everything that is being accused of to be played out right in the eyes of every Nigerian. With reference to the pastor, you know, like Rudolph said, a lot of us are in the wrong business. What many of these religious leaders, and sadly the young ones who we think would be correcting a lot of the ills of the older generation, are even making it worse and getting deeper. So for the crimes that he's been accused of, I said, let the law take its course. Okay. Whatever they say to do, let it be done. If the law says he should be deported, let him be deported and sent back to Nigeria. Okay. Lastly, on the case of Emefiele, it's unfortunate. I think this is a sad situation where you steal money, it's not benefiting the populace. You build homes and you own it. Now, if it was a hospital he built, a trauma one center in Nigeria, right there in Abuja, I could cut him some slack to say, well, at least it serves the population. But this is his own personal aggrandizement. And it's sad that people are supporting it. So for whatever the law says should be meted on him, based on all of this that is being unfounded, I think the full arm of it should be meted on Emefiele himself. And if he needs to go to jail, let him go to jail.
All right, thanks very much, Flagship. I guess for those of us that are in the wrong business, I will advise that Flagship and Damages, it's not late. You people go open a church. I volunteer to serve as a treasurer to that church, please. I'm available. I'm open to taking up that position.
And supporting, you know, that was what I called when I said some people are sycophantic on this issue. Yes, there are two lawyers in Baba's chamber that is talking about this, that is writing all this. But it's not without, I don't think it's going to be without Baba's knowledge. Then let Baba Afe call them to order. And then he only need to make a call to the police. Please, release that guy for me. And that will be the end.
Dr. Dayo, you have raised another issue.
And that will be the end.
Why should Afe Babalola, why should the magistrate, why should the police wait for someone to call them? Somebody who is not a state actor, to call them to release an accused. It's a
sycophancy.
I think the whole issue of the Dele Farotimi Afe Babalola is a sore on the conscience of our judiciary.
And they slap on we Nigerians.
Exactly. Anyway, KJ and forefathers, permit me to bring in our correspondent from Oka. I'll come back to you. Geb, Ndo, are you there?
Hello. I'm here, yeah.
Good, you can hear me now. Good afternoon once again. Yeah. And we hear that the Anglican Bishop Emeritus of Oka Diocese has been missing since yesterday. Please, can you help us confirm that?
But that's Professor.
You are breaking. I can't hear you. You are breaking. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you very well.
You are off again. I can't hear you. Ndo, can you hear me? Oh, well, I think. Ndo, can you hear me? I can hear you. Go ahead.
I hear you.
What is happening to the Anglican Bishop of Oka, Bishop Okpala?
Bishop Godwin Okpala was Anglican bishop. Will not. What we hear is that area and has not been seen since yesterday.
We are still battling with a glitch there. The tech team need to rectify it before we come back to you, Undo. Now, forefathers, let me come to you now. Please, can we have their quick takes on any of those three topics that we talked about, or the three of them? Quick one.
The case of the pastor is a case of, it is a symptom of a decay in our culture, isn't it? A culture of consumption without responsibility, without accountability, without men that are capable of making sacrifice. All they do is dress up and look good. And look at how he was dressing like a peacock with the pink gisting and all that. All this flamboyance, where has it gotten us? I think that's where I would leave it. It's just, I don't like, those people they are not people we should be proud of. Practicing a foreign religion and behaving like a foreign person, just spending money anyhow. And then look at him, he looks like a Yahoo boy. He's supposed to be a pastor, but the whole thing is corrupt. I don't just listen, I'm not going to indulge him much because I never knew about him till now. Regarding the Dele Faro to me, again, you see that element of leaders that like to show off power, but not understand its responsibility at all. If there have been these leaders who are delivering progress for Nigeria, one would be that would say, okay, he's angry that you are defaming his good work. Look at the good work. What good work has he done? Look at the nation. What have they done for that nation that is so great? Why are they not telling us all the good work they've done? And where is Shoyinka, by the way? That is always irate when he hears about obedience. And yet they take they refer to me to another state. He's been quiet. I think I heard him about a month ago. He was demanding the release of some other person in another group, in another country. But they took somebody in Nigeria for how many days now? It's been quiet. That is another issue you see in Nigeria. I have seen in Nigeria where, like before the election, you see Southeasterners being attacked and all our leaders just keep quiet. These people, I don't know what is wrong with them, and they think they should not be questioned. I think every single leader in Nigeria should be questioned until they prove to be honorable and responsible people. Because all these leaders, look at what they've given us. A country that is dying every day, a country that had 47 billion. 47 billion is pittance on an international level. We had it for 2023, and now this year we're having 28 billion. For our national budget, and these people expect us to respect them and not question them, and when you say one thing, they take it from one state to the other. I don't understand this type of stuff. Sooner or later, they will be reckoning for all these people. And when it comes to Emefiele, you see the same behavior again. Because they don't like Emefiele, they go after Emefiele. If Emefiele is guilty of his crime, he should be tried. He should be able to come out openly to testify his case. And if he's guilty, personally, I recommend this in capital punishment for people that embezzle this in funds from public office. Because those people actually they actually kill people. Yeah. When they take people's money that is meant for hospital, for healthcare, for roads, and people die. Why should they get away with it? We say we hate corruption, but we don't enforce rules.
Okay.
Why would we not have more corruption? And the thing about Emefiele that people are talking about, that maybe because he's the only one, it's almost as if they are giving him the Abacha treatment, where he doesn't have. I don't like a situation whereby the person that is being accused doesn't have a chance to reply, because I don't understand how Emefiele is capable of stealing all this money alone in a government like this. Alone, nobody questioned him. Who is he? that he is that powerful to do all these things.
Okay.
I don't see. So that is what bothers me. They are giving him their budgeting name where he doesn't have a right to reply. He doesn't say anything. They just malign his name completely until one day, who knows what will happen to him? I don't even know what will happen to him. But what I believe is, if you are serious about taking care of corruption and you want law and order, then you have to hold people accountable equally. I don't care who it is. I don't mind if they catch Emefiele today, they should catch Sean Penny tomorrow. When they catch them, what do they do to them? Look at the Bello the other day came to court and was acting like a superstar. The entire system seems to a kind of, how do I describe it? It seems to uphold people that lack integrity.
Quite unfortunate. Quite unfortunate.
We have to purge the system of people that lack integrity, so that the people that have integrity will be the ones running the systems.
Okay.
And that is what I consider a cultural issue, and we have to change our culture to allow that to happen. Thank you very much.
All right, thanks very much, forefathers. Now, KJ, let's have you. KJ, you joined us from Maryland. Good afternoon once again.
For allowing me to be part of the program this morning. Yes, I will start like Dr. Rudolph started. I think I want to celebrate Emefiele. We are coming up. I mean, when I say we, the Igbos are coming up. You know, before now, we used to steal small. I mean, at least I know that Humphrey Mwagbara, when he was Speaker of the National Assembly, was impeached for 50,000 naira at that time, which was a very little money. But today we have graduated. At least we are now taking equal portion in the, taking portion of the land. And Emefiele, if it is, because right now EFCC didn't say it's Emefiele. This is people saying it's Emefiele. They are suspecting. So for him to have been able to, on his own, steal the money, then be able to buy the land on his own, all that, huge land, and buy the property, buy the materials, begin to build 753 houses, duplexes. He must be a magician. We are coming up. Let's celebrate him. When he goes to his village, let's give him chieftaincy title. He has tried. At least his village chief can also get one portion of the land to use for himself. Look, the truth is that Nigeria, we are jokers. I'm serious. We're serious. I'm serious because no nation builds this way. So even for Emefiele, I won't waste my time. By the way, if he was somebody down the street in, somewhere in the middle of Abuja, they would have taken him and taken pictures of him and they put it on the Facebook, on the social media, obtained by fraud or all stuff they will write, and it will be circulating. Why not do it to those people you have been recovering millions of naira from? Why not do it? Are they not the same people? Don't they have the same citizenship? Or somebody who have classes of citizens in Nigeria? That's something we should discuss as a people. Secondly, the pastor, you see, let's not forget something. Pastor is a title. Anybody can take it. Even me, I can decide tomorrow that when I come and introduce myself as Pastor KJ, you don't need to go to school to become a pastor. So any criminal can adapt the name pastor. We have seen criminals before who their names have been pastors and they all ended up as criminals. So the mere fact that he's a pastor shouldn't rub off on the church badly. He could have taken any title. So for him, he's living the kind of life which even his calling, if he was really a pastor, which is against. Because, Jesus said to Peter, if you love me, feed my sheep. He didn't say, Peter, do you love me? Yes. Or feed the sheep, feed Peter. But all those things have been somersaulted, and now it is the sheep that is feeding Peter instead of Peter feeding the sheep. And everybody is happy about it. As for me, if I was a member of his church and I see him in any of those things, I would have walked away a long time ago. I'm going to do something else with my life. Going further away on Dele's case, and I'll end with that. Look, I started hearing about this big man syndrome when I was a young guy, a young chap, primary school. And my dad used to have a music from one of the Southern African states. And I'm trying to remember the name of that group, but I can still remember the tone. The tone was Nairobi. There are so many big men, The singer was talking about how big men was taking over Nairobi and doing all kinds of things in Nairobi. That was many years ago, okay? Today, that big man syndrome has got over all over Africa and has come to domicile in Nigeria. So much so that once you're a big man, you can do and undo. And that's what you just seen displayed in this issue of Dele's case. Now, somebody was asking why Ekiti. He moved it to Ekiti because that's why he has dominance. You know, remember the police commissioner in whichever police station they tried it in Lagos, refused to detain him. So he took it to a place where he have dominance. He can say, put him in this prison, they'll put him there, do this thing, they will do it. That is why they see him as a demigod, you know. And that is why, you know, youths of these days don't respect old age any longer. When we are growing up, the older people are the ones who put, you know, who try to put things in their proper perspective, irrespective of who is, you know, who it comes against. But these days, it is the elder people who are even trying to make sure that there's a total chaos in the system, just because they want to be respected and seen as, you know, as gods of the people. If you were so good and the practice of the law you have practiced in the past 60 years in Nigeria, you guys have been good. You will not have people like Dele writing about that, you know, what is writing concerning the system that you have practiced on that. What he's saying is not true. If it's not true, have you not seen it now? Didn't you move the case from Lagos to Ekiti? Didn't you call the police to you know, lock him up? Didn't you say that he cannot be bailed? Didn't the IG of police eventually decide to you know, press a case against him? How many times have IGs of police gone ahead to, you know, raise a charge against somebody in less than 2 days, and the person will be remanded in prison until hearing? A person of his standard, and if they think about it, if it can be done to a lawyer, a priest in the temple of justice, what will be done to you and me? That's what you should think about. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, KJ, for this wonderful take. Gentlemen, thanks for your quick takes on these topics. Now, let's get into the major topic of discussion today, which is Nigeria and France join forces for sustainable mining. Nigeria and France have signed a groundbreaking Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, to enhance sustainable mining, secure vital minerals, and rehabilitate mining communities. This alliance targets critical minerals like copper, lithium, nickel, cobalt, and rare earth elements, essential for clean energy technologies. Signed during President Bola Tinubu's official visit to France, the MOU emphasizes collaboration in research, training, and student exchanges between the two nations. A significant focus is on executing environmentally sustainable mining projects, reducing carbon emissions, and conserving water. Now, key elements of the MOU include joint projects. Public and private entities will co-finance extraction and processing ventures to secure critical minerals. Environmental responsibility, with footprints like address climate change and all its impacts. Best practices, both countries commit to improving local mining community conditions with a focus on transparency. Nigeria's Minister of Solid Minerals, Dr. Dele Alake, and France Interministerial Delegate for Critical Ores and Minerals, Mr. Benjamin Geslot, signed the agreement setting a precedent for international cooperation in sustainable resource management. Dr. Kayode, let me come first to you.
Yes.
What's your reaction? Yes. I mean, our president just came back from South Africa, but from France. Before South Africa, he was in France, where he signed this MOU, you know, between Nigeria and France to help us with our mineral exploration, mineral resource exploration. What's your reaction? Considering the fact that our brother West African countries are trying to disengage their relationship with France and all of that. So what's in it for us that we are gravitating towards France?
Yes, because that's where I intend starting from. We all recollect that Niger Republic sent away these same French people from their country. And all their activities were taken over. But mark you at that time, this same our president, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, said he was going to fight them militarily. I was among those that were shouting then. You need not to go and fight those guys. You need to know what they have been facing ever since from the hands of France. Okay? We came up with all those issues. But thank God, he couldn't go there to fight. Now, going to fight there, on who's standing.
Sorry, doctor. Hold your line of thought. Do you think that the president was serious when he said he was going to fight in Niger? Do you think he was serious?
It's still because the same leg that is dancing on top of water somebody was drumming for. We will say all these things. We need to say all these things. Because if we don't say, listen, if you don't say it as a people, if we don't say it as a people, we will not get ourselves emancipated from the kind of government we are having now. Rather, we remain emaciated. And for me, I've already, for long, dedicated the rest of my life to serve my country. Nothing will stop me from saying the truth. Now, listen to this. I don't know whether you listen to the president-elect of America of recent, when the BRICS nations were talking about coming on with their own currency. You remember what he said? He said if they should try it, especially China, that is leading that bloc, that it will retaliate with 100% tariff. Why? Because he knew the value of dollar will come down. But who are the people championing the value of an naira to come down? And who are they using? Let's go back to where we are. I'm just using these ones as a tip for us to understand why somebody like me will not support France coming to Nigeria. Since they have been sent away from the Niger Republic, they have not been able to lay their hands on their lithium again, which have been sustaining their economy. They now looked at, say, okay, what can they do? What can they do? And you know that France is in the same league with Biden's leadership in America against Russia. Do you understand? Against Russia. So what do we do? And they know America also has that link with our own brother here, who is leading us here. Then, okay, why don't you invite this guy to France? When he was going, did he tell us he was going to sign memorandum of all these things that when he was going to France?
Should he have
when he was being invited?
Was he supposed to tell
Yes, we were supposed to know. Why are you going there?
No, don't you think that it was a
He was invited. He was invited for what? He was invited for lunch.
All right,
to come and take dinner with his wife.
Don't you think that?
And then they came out with this.
Doctor, don't you think that the discussion around the mineral resource exploitation came up when he went to France? On the sidelines.
I said what we are saying is, if not something that has been thought of before, it cannot come up. It is a way of bringing back.
Okay,
listen, it is a way of bringing back France to West Africa. Are you also aware that in that same thing they signed, they said that France can bring in their military
exactly
to come and listen now, to come and support.
Exactly where I'm coming
to come and support.
Exactly where I'm coming to. A lot of Nigerians have argued that, look, our solid minerals in parts of the country, especially the north, have been mined without account. That they have not been accounted for.
That is where I'm coming, my brother. Now, when I brought that military issue,
the people also believe that, look,
why did they send them to IDP camps?
That with France coming in now officially, that is going to create some kind of transparency when we know how much is exploited and accounted for. Don't you think in that direction?
Now that their military are also going to be guiding that place, who are you as a journalist to say you want to go there to go and find out what they are doing?
Now that the military is not there. Now that the military is not there, individuals privately are exploiting this resource.
They are not. They are stealing.
So don't you think that the president wants to stop that stealing?
Who is supporting them in that stealing?
No, don't you think that the president wants to stop that stealing?
Who is supporting them in that stealing? Who is supporting them of that stealing?
No, I'm just asking.
I'm only telling. I'm also putting it at you. If a camera is missing here, today, go and find out. It is not a thief from outside that has stolen it. If it's a thief from outside, somebody inside must have aided such a thief.
Okay.
And what I'm saying is, look at the insecurity we have in the north today. Why do you think we have it? Aman said it. Aman or CNN. He said any insurgents that a leader cannot resolve under 24 to 48 hours, that leader should be seen as an accomplice. Who and who have been giving those people water, food, dropping in with aircraft in the bushes?
Dr. Kayode, my question is, we understand all of these things. Now, don't you think that the president bringing in France is to make it official so that it will become accountable and transparent?
And that's why I also put it to you. Who and who are supporting these people that have been stealing it without being arrested? Who and who have been supporting them?
Okay, I'll come back to you. Let's bring in our brothers from the diaspora. KJ, I'll come back to you first on this. KJ, what's your reaction? Our president went to France and signed an MOU on mineral exploration between Nigeria and France. What's your reaction on this, please?
I will react just the same way my guys in the studio have reacted. Look, these are the people who just sent away, and our neighbors just sent away. Did we ever consult with them to find out why are you sending this great power away from you and saying we no longer wish to cooperate with you? That's one. Two, what are we going to benefit that's different from what they've been giving our neighbors for the past 60 years or thereabouts they've been in that country? Three, is it that we don't have any company whatsoever, Nigerians with all that we have, and those who are still stealing more, who can do exactly what you are going to do in France? Four, why do you want to bring a foreign troop again into Nigeria when the neighbors, our neighbors, just said, look, we no longer want to have anything to do with you people? And then five, what are you signing? Are you signing this thing? Is it that it's the right of the president to just go sit down by himself with one man, and then at the end of the day, you sign an agreement that will be binding on Nigerians without the National Assembly looking through what you have signed? Has the presidency, or has the constitution been adjusted that the president can get into any bilateral agreement without the foreknowledge of the National Assembly? Five, where have you gone to a conference and the foreign leader, they finish signing, and the foreign leader brings whatever they've signed, and then a picture is taken out of it? Because from that picture you have taken, I can be able to expand on that and look at all that is written there and see what agreements are written. Six now maybe. Look, wow, when you left Nigeria, did you tell Nigerians this is what we are going to agree? Or you just went there alone and said that you are going to now sign away Nigerian resources, okay, for your own benefit? Who are the companies that are going to benefit from it? Who will they be reporting to? What are the minerals that we are signing away? And why should France be the one to enforce that agreement on the soils of Nigeria?
KJ, I want to stay with you. I want to ask you the same question I asked Dr. Kayode in the studio here. We've been having issues with exploiting our solid minerals in parts of Nigeria, especially the north. We understand, a lot of people have claimed that, look, the insurgency thrives because certain people, are exploiting these minerals. They are not accounting to the government. They are not making returns to the government. Now the president goes to France to sign this agreement so that France, with all their power, with all their might, can come, establish this solid minerals business with us so that we can have accounts of how much is produced, who takes what, who keeps what. Don't you think that is exactly what the president is trying to do, to forestall people stealing us dry by not making account to the federal government?
If you follow the development before they were sent away from these other countries, the reason why they brought in the forces who were in Africa in the first place was to help insurgency in those states, in those countries, which they never was able to put it under control. In fact, that's the reason why they were even forced out, because at the end of more than 10 years, these Francophone countries felt these people are not doing anything, and they are fleeting away our resources. Okay, so what's the best way? Is to work, end your forces and take them away. The same thing happened in Senegal. So Senegal have also asked them to leave. So the question is this: first and foremost, they cannot be for the interest of Nigeria. I can bet you on that, on anything. It cannot be, because France will not go into an agreement that benefits Nigerians alone and send boots on ground to help facilitate that process. For what? Have they done that for their own Francophone countries? No. So, secondly, look, I tell you the truth, this government is a government by the French and for the French and for those who have appointed the French.
Okay.
That is what it is. Tinubu is gone there to make this agreement to suit himself. I can assure you that very little will come to Nigeria after this from this agreement. It's for themselves. They are doing it just the same way they are sharing the remaining part of Abuja land to their friends and well-wishers. That's the same thing that's going on here. It's not because they want to account what is being. You have not been able to account the one we already have machines and people and the Nigerian soldiers guiding in the south, okay, where the oil wells are. There is this one that we don't even know what they're going to come and mine that you are not going to account for. Okay. I don't think so, boss. Thank you.
All right. Thanks very much, KJ. Now, forefathers, let me bring you into this conversation. The president was in France, and you're already aware of what we are talking about. But the letters of the agreement says that both countries commit to improving local mining community conditions with a focus on transparency. Not just transparency, but also co-financing. Do you see that happening in the event that, France comes into Nigeria, to co-finance our solid minerals exploration with us? Do you think that the communities are going to benefit from this agreement, from this memorandum of understanding?
Based on history does not suggest that we are going to gain anything from it. And based on the behavior of most Western nations today, they have not changed their stripes. It's quite sad because strategically, I would have thought it would make sense for them to cooperate and work with Africans, but there you go. I think history suggests that they are already used to seeing us as less than, so they don't seem to want to change gear. And it looks like our leaders are a bigger problem, because how is it that they cannot tell the difference? Even the U.S. president in Angola recently is talking about a long train line investment. The train line investment, multinational train line investment that they want to make, is to extract our natural resources. It's like, what is wrong with this leader? Don't they get it that taking our natural resources from us, they go and refine it, do value-added manufacturing on it, and they sell it back to us? In other words, we are basically paying them to extract our natural resources. That is what is happening. And these Mumu leaders still go there and sign this agreement. The only thing I will accept from a French president, if he's willing to, is a nuclear program. If they are kind enough to share their nuclear technology, I'll be very happy to listen to that. If they are kind enough to share their ballistic missile technology, I will be happy to listen to that. Or this in the microchip manufacturing, not extracting our natural resources, because in the end we just pay for it, because that's what is happening. They take the natural resources at $5, they go and do value added manufacturing, and they sell it back to us at $20-50. In other words, we are paying them to come and take our stuff. What kind of mumu thinking is that? That's what got us into this mess we are in. Our leaders simply refuse to bargain for us in such a way that we are going to make something out of it. And the reason why they are able to, they are so foolish, and the reason why the foreign power seems so powerful is because our nation is not able to defend itself. Anything we do, they can just intimidate us. They can threaten our leaders that they are going to seize their stuff here. They're going to take their children here. They're going to, all kinds of tools that they have at their disposal. We make ourselves so vulnerable to them. I think somebody said it earlier on. If the people in Nigeria and within our countries are not opening the door for them, they will not be able to do those things. And it's because our people don't understand the importance of these relationships and the international arena. They don't know geopolitics. They don't understand that has far more effect on us than anything is going on in Nigeria. That is far more consequential. What is happening with these leaders right now is more consequential than anything.
All right. For us, I like the fact that you mentioned geopolitics. Don't you think that France coming into Nigeria is some kind of geopolitics for Nigeria? Considering that, look, we have these solid minerals which are being stolen by Nigerians within Nigeria. Now you also have Russia, like Dr. Kayode said, on the sideline, and United States on the sideline. Now, let's look at the geopolitics of it. Don't you think that France coming into Nigeria is going to stabilize the environment of play within that industry? Don't you think in that direction?
This is the same country that has been in Niger extracting their uranium to power its own nation. And look at Niger today.
But Russia tried to come into Niger and it didn't work.
That's a few years now, and also Russia cannot do everything for our leaders. Like I said, this has to do with our own people. Our own people, there's something seriously screwed up in their head. They don't seem to understand that they need to fight for their own people, and they seem to think that it's going to be easy. That you're just going to talk your way, shake your hand into success. You think those people are going to give it to you? You have to make tough decisions and say, you know what, I'm going to defend the interests of my people, and if you don't like it, go the other direction. I will beg my own people. If you want to put sanctions on me, you don't want our country to progress, fine. I will rather do it myself. Look at North Korea right now. That's how North Korea did it, and they are emerging now. They are emerging as an influential nation. The same thing is going to be with Iran. If you keep leaving your people weak, they are not able to defend themselves. This is why our leaders behave the way they do. Look at even the Sahel nations. I'm not very, very impressed with them. I like the fact that they come together and form that unity that enables them to be able to defend themselves better. But they have not made a lot of moves. They've made some reasonable moves, I have to say.
Forefathers, how much
impress me?
How much power do we have to play Iran in Middle East and play North Korea in the Pacific? Within that region, do we have that kind of power to do that in Africa?
We even have more power. The Iranians don't have a great diaspora. The Iranians don't have almost 1 billion people on the continent supporting them, just like we supported South Africa. If Nigeria decided to make moves in the interest of the people, the entire continent will be behind us. And this is one of the reasons, if you look at what is happening with Nigeria right now, this is one of the reasons why forming smaller nations is a dangerous thing. Because look at all the countries that kicked France out, about 3 to 4 of them kicked France out, and because Nigeria is an option, they come. If Nigeria kick them out, they'll go to Benin Republic. They have options because we are so small and divided all over the place. This is what it renders us very vulnerable. Okay. And at the same time, if our leaders start making strategic decisions, we are going to have a lot of power. One of the power we have that we don't even seem to tap into at all is the greater diaspora, in terms of the ones that went overseas during the enslavement period. Those ones are still there. Do you see Tinubu meeting African Americans? Have you ever seen him go to them and say, you know what, let's go and talk, let's talk? Many of them have Nigerian heritage. Do you see him tapping into them at all? Their purchasing power is in excess of going to $2 trillion. He has not engaged them at all. We've not tapped into the Brazilian diaspora, not to mention our own Nigerian diaspora that numbers into the millions. So we have a lot of power, more than Iran. If we decide to wield it, if our leaders decide to wake up, Nigeria is very, very important. It's a very important nation. Many of the diaspora link their heritage to Nigeria. Even the so-called Bantus, the other black people that come from all the way from Nigeria to South Africa, many of them are linked to Nigeria. They all originated from the Mambila Plateau itself. That is in Nigeria at the same time. So Nigeria is strategically very important. There are a lot of people that feel, no wonder Africans keep saying it all the time, that Nigeria needs to emerge. If Nigeria emerge, that Africa will transform. Now I'm beginning to understand it. And many Nigerians don't know how important this region is to millions, maybe over 1 billion people around the world. If we decide to make decisions for ourselves, you'll be surprised our power will emerge.
All right. Thanks very much, Forefather. Now, let me come to you, Flagship. Flagship, we've had this issue of problems with our solid minerals in some parts of the country, especially the north. We hear that Nigerians collide with foreigners, to exploit these resources, and they don't pay royalty. They don't pay monies to the federal government, to the state government or local government. These things are ferried outside the country. In some places, you see small jets that fly on hard roads, After exploiting them, they fly off this country, and these things end up in Europe. Now, we have a president who says, look, the best thing to do is to harmonize the activities between Nigeria and France. Let's bring in France to help us harmonize these activities. Maybe in terms of technology, in terms of expertise, so that we can create some level of transparency. A lot of people don't agree with the president. Please, can we have your view on that?
On Wednesday, I was listening to financial news, and it was shocking to me to see a Canadian businessman giving a report on how his business has progressed within the last 365 days, calendar days. The conversation actually was revolving around crypto, which I'm very, very interested in. And the move that Donald Trump right now is making that is pushing crypto right up there now, what he's suggesting for America. Now, the miners are actually in Africa, where they mine these elements and resources for. And this Canadian businessman was saying that he's now in the stock exchange market, and his business has grown. His initial capital investment was $100,000, and he went to Namibia. And today, his business has grown where they have a net worth of over $830 million. The little jets you see flying out of Nigeria with resources that are being mined are these little businessmen that come in to take the little that they can and run away with it. And of course, they're not doing it just by themselves. It's in collaboration with our own Nigerians that are there, who supposedly are leaders. But the question I asked myself in that financial report he was given was, $100,000 to Namibia, who did he bribe with $100,000 that gave him unrestricted access to Namibia's resources and T-money, so to say, that he's mining today, and he's made a net worth of about over $800 million. It's the same thing they are doing in Nigeria. It could be the same small businessman from here that's flying a small plane into Zamfara and the rest other parts of Nigeria mining these things. Now we have gone to want to legitimize it on a larger scale with a country that has a history of sucking up resources from African nations with little or no remittance to the nation. Let's take Niger, for example, uranium. Did you know, or do you know rather, that France was paying 83 cents to Niger for the uranium that they were mining? 83 cents. But out there in the global market, they sell it for over $200 per unit. I don't know what is measured in. 83. And the 83 cents of it, it's not like the money goes into the national coffers of Niger. The 83 cents is banked in France. Yes. And if Niger needs money to do anything in his country, they get it from France as a loan. Yeah. These are people that have a track record of decimation in Africa. France has never, ever been good in any African country that it has colonized. The Nigerians, Burkina Faso, Senegal, Mali have kicked them out. What do we see in them that attracts our president to say, oh, well, maybe some little Nigerians that are scouting out these minerals without control? It's a small problem. Flagship, you know that it's Nigerians that are there that are picking it up.
Flagship, let me ask you, what would we rather do?
I will do, if I were to be in Tinubu's shoes, the 50% of the problem is solved already. All right? I know that it is people in my country that are doing it. I know where they are. I know how they are doing it. If I'm not benefiting from it, if the nation is not benefiting from it, it doesn't take too much to put a stop to it. These guys can be kicked out any day. And also, in that report this man was given, he was praising some members of parliament or in Namibia who is in close relationship with, that gives them. So it's possible for these guys to be stopped. I will stop them, and they have no objection. But the reason why they cannot is they pay them pittance for the much that they take out of the country. Okay. So here's what really aches me when I think about this. Tinubu in France, invited on a state visit, giving breakfast or dinner with our song or P-Square song played in his ears, insulting him while he's sitting at the table. And he comes back with an MOU. Oh, in addition, I heard that they also came back with 300 million euros that France plans to invest in Nigeria's educational system. And guess what the investment is? To train 150 Nigerian teachers to learn how to teach French so they can go back to Nigeria and teach French. What a great investment. And also, I found this yesterday, that as part of what Tinubu brought back to Nigeria from this trip, was it 12 jets, used jets, that France has decided to give to Nigeria. 12 used jets. And when there was a pushback on that, his spokesman came out and said, oh, well, it's not 12 used jets. It's 6 new jets, 12 new jets, but 6 of them are going to be refurbished for use in Nigeria, while the remaining 6 are bought as spare parts to use to fix these other 6 in case they run into problems. Can you see the genius thinking in our leaders and what they have gone to bring to us? The little 2 jets we have in our military right there in Nigeria, it is catastrophe upon catastrophe upon catastrophe that we see them use it for, which the civilians seem to suffer on. They've never been able to learn how to use those things and master their intelligence before they go out to strike. And here we are buying 6 more. For what? What kind of battle are we fighting that we don't have the intelligence, boots on the ground that can handle it and fix the problem? None of these moves by our leaders ever is in the benefit of Nigeria as a nation, not to speak of the people. Dangote was there in that meeting in France. Tony Elumelu was there in that meeting in France. UBA is going to be in France. You think with me for a minute. How does that play out? How are funds going to be moved out if this MOU that is signed for mining minerals in Nigeria with no accountability, proper accountability? You want to leave accountability to the French to handle for you, and you think that the small thieves who are stealing out of Nigeria now is our problem? We won't have nothing at all if they bring their boots on the ground to guard those minerals areas where they're going to be mining from. Look at the DRC. You and I know what is going on there today. I rode in a ride on a trip this week when I went out for work with a gentleman from that country. And he was crying about what these foreign troops are doing in their nation and how they mine out of Congo with no control and resistance because they have these troops on ground that push them way out and they can't even see, tell, or know what is being taken out of their country. And here we are wanting to bring French troops, push out our own, and you think they're there to help us? We would have no accountability. We would not know what is leaving our nation, and the remittance that will be gotten out of it cannot even do us any good. Lastly, they are talking about climate control. Whatever that MOU says, it's going to benefit Nigeria to aid in climate control. Go to the Niger Delta. Take a look at the decimation that is going on there. How much of climate control, environmental control, and help has these people been able to do for the people in the Niger Delta? It's decimated. The people are getting sick, poisoned every single day from the activities of these miners that go there to take our resources. So there's no way that Tinubu's trip to France and this MOU that Dele Alake signed will ever bring us any good. By the way, what does he really know about resources? Did they read this MOU before they signed it? Do they know what it's talking about in detail? We're still dealing with the mess that Ogun State put on the ground, that China is going all around the world, seizing everything that we have, just because they didn't read it and didn't follow through with it. And here we are with a new one. We're digging a deeper hole, and we're getting things worse for the children of tomorrow, that we're eating their food today and leaving them to the French, to the Chinese, Lebanese, and everybody else that come there that we sign these papers with and never take time to read through it and see how it benefits, even if not us today, the children of tomorrow that they are leaving behind. Those are the ones that concern me, that will suffer these things. So there's no way this was an intelligent move from Nigeria.
All right, thank you very much, Flagship. These things sound quite scary. I mean, all the analysts seem to be saying the same thing. It's not going to work. It can't work. It hasn't worked before. And I just hope that someone should say something differently. Now, Dr. Damages, let me bring you in. What's your reaction to all of this going to France to sign MOU with France to come and help us manage our solid minerals resources in terms of accountability, co-financing, exchange, education exchange, and all of that? Please, it's very scary. Do you think otherwise from what your co-panelists have said?
My friends are all panicking. I don't know why. The flagship, they complain too much. Really complain too much. Look at it this way: forefathers wanted them to give him technology about nuclear weapons. And he wants to go and exploit and explore the minerals with hoe and hammer and shovels. I don't get it. Look, Mr. Chuma, the first time we started this show, I told you that Nigeria is a failed nation that works for the people that failed it. And you protested. You said it wasn't true. But that's the summary of what we're discussing today. Whatever issue you touched, we are talking about what France will do for Nigeria in the area of solid minerals. We have not cleaned the mess in the Niger Delta, which all the foreign oil companies have made in the last 60 years. So we don't have a structure in place to deal with these foreign companies. Let me tell you what is going to happen. Maybe this will be a defamation that somebody will sue me in the next few days. So this is how they do these things. They sign this MOU. They bring these companies into Nigeria. And these people, the elite, the people signing this, we have these complex kind of deals where their own interest will be taken care of. So if you see Nigerians currently taking these minerals and selling without accounting to the nation, which is an issue, you will now have France come in and do exactly the same thing where some connected Nigerians will benefit. They may be part owners of the company, part owners of the interest, and the country. In Congo and other places in Africa, they get something like...
Dr. Damages, at that point, at least we know where the money is going to. But currently, we don't even know.
Because we are not researching.
Currently, we don't even know where all those money are going to.
Keep your hands on the ground, you will know.
If France comes in, does the same thing that Nigerians are doing, at least we know that the money is going to France. What do you think?
Are you going to be happy that it's going to France?
Now, am I happy that it's nowhere to be found in Nigeria? So the question is, what do we do? We seem to be in a bind. What do we do to get out of that bind?
So that's the thing. The job we need to do is more difficult than the way our mind, the way the Nigerian, the African mind works. So we have to go back inside. And I've said it here on this show, the way the Chinese did when they went into cultural revolution, you have to go back inside of yourself. We are always in a rush to find an easy answer to the problem. There is no easy answer. It requires hard work. We don't like the hard work. We don't like to think. And that's what is needed. But if you want to do these small time quick fixes, get the French to come in and take probably 85% of the money that will come out of this deal, give 5 to some Nigerian government officials who facilitated the deals, and maybe give maybe 0.5 to the Nigerian government, then that may be what we will get. But if we want to do the hard work and say, how do we make sure that we end this culture of having foreign companies come into Nigeria, exploit our resources, take most of them, which is, we know, history all across Nigeria. What do? We can come up with the answer. We have people, we have the brain to do that. We can do it. But the people that are negotiating these things are not even people who are interested in the Nigerian interest, in protecting our interests. So they are not going to think about this. They're going to take pictures, do the big thing they do on the stage, and then the same story will continue. The French said that the more things change, the more they remain the same. And that's the summary of what is happening.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Damages. Let me come back to the studio. Dr. Kaide, you were shaking your head, wanted to say something, like a wrap up on this.
You see, somebody was talking about, he doesn't know what is in their head and all that. And thank God that Dr. Damages peeped into it. It is nothing other than festering their hedonistic tendencies. Nothing more than that. Like he said, let's say 85, French will take 85, give 5 to whoever facilitated it, and then maybe 0.05 to the government. So who are those people that facilitated it? Is the question. So those are the people that are benefiting.
Don't you think that the president has made a step forward?
The only step, let me tell you this, the only step we can make forward is this. The only
it's
step,
an assumption that probably France takes 85%.
The only
and
step,
if it works at that level, don't you think that with time we'll start to renegotiate?
I say no. The only step
because currently we don't even know where the monies are going to.
The only step we can take forward is if you believe what I want to say.
Okay.
When you want a thing to be done properly, do it yourself. If we want to get the maximization of exploration of resources in our nation, manage it for ourselves.
Do we have the expertise?
Who is telling you we don't?
No, I'm just asking.
Did you listen to what somebody said just now? As regards Nigeria and the diaspora that we're talking about, I belong to one particular organization some time ago as regards Nigerians in diaspora. And I was shown a big picture to the extent that the 2 trillion he was talking was even small. About $12 trillion outside there.
Okay.
But it's a pity we have been bereft of intentional leadership. All right? Intentional leadership. And mark you, Nelson Mandela said something.
Okay.
He said the whole world is waiting for the emergence of Africa as the captain of the world. But without Nigeria getting its acts right, this cannot be achieved.
All right.
So what I'm saying in essence is this. We need to be intentional in our activities, in our actions. We should move away from self. If we should move away from self, if we can move away from self to generality of the people, then at the end, look at this place.
Okay.
The owner of the vision was not looking at just himself or herself.
Okay.
He was looking at, when this thing is here like this,
a lot more people
I'm going to bring in professionals. Those professionals and those one here, those one there, they be working there and they be making their life.
All right.
If only our government can come to that realization, then we get out of the doodrum we are.
All right. Thanks very much, Dr. Kaide. Gentlemen, thanks for your very wonderful takes on this very topic. We'll go for a short break, and when we come back, we'll talk about the controversial tax reform bills before the National Assembly now. Please stay with us. Don't go away. All right, welcome back and thanks for staying with us. You are still watching the Diaspora Perspective Show on Voice of the People Television, VOP. Now, let's get into the second topic of discussion, which is the controversial tax reform bills which is currently before the National Assembly and aims to simplify business operations and shield the poor from unnecessary tax burdens. Oh, well, speaking at the press briefing in Oshobo, Malam Lanre Issa Oniru, Director General of the National Orientation Agency, NOA, highlighted the bill's potential to end the challenges of multiple taxation in Nigeria. Represented by Olubukola Olurufemi, NOA's Director for Report Coordination and Improvement, Issa Oniru stated that the reforms will foster economic development and streamline tax administration. He explained that the reform comprises 4 bills: the Nigeria Tax Bill, the Nigeria Tax Administration Bill, the Nigeria Revenue Service Establishment Bill, and the Joint Revenue Board Establishment Bill. The Nigerian Tax Bill, for instance, consolidates existing tax laws and will repeal 11 outdated laws related to tax collection once it is enacted. I still have in the studio with me Dr. Dayo Kayode to help us make sense of this topic. And from the diaspora, Dr. Damages, KJ, Flagship, and Forefathers. Gentlemen, thanks for staying with us. Now, let me start with you, Dr. Kayode. The bill is causing a lot of controversy, even in the National Assembly. The Deputy Senate President said, look, the Senate has suspended this bill. Only for the Senate President to come and say, no, we have not suspended this bill. We are going to work on it, and we are going to give Nigerians the best. Recall that the Senate president has always told us that, look, anything that the president brings to the National Assembly,
we must stamp it.
Is as good as given. So, but my question to you is, why is it that this particular bill is generating this kind of controversy, especially with the North kicking against it?
You see, the bill, the way I see it, is nothing other than a divisive model.
Divisive, you said?
Divisive, I will explain. Divisive model, as well as to further pauperize the people. Now, divisive in terms of, look at what is happening now in the National Assembly. Look at what is happening now among the people. And it's so unfortunate. The mover of even the bill, the man in charge, what's his name again, was doing one town hall meeting sometimes, I don't know whether you listen to it in one television station like that. I was telling Nigerians that, yes, 90% of Nigerians have even applauded the bill. I say, sure. Where? Even at that panel alone, you find out that over 70% at that panel were not in agreement. National Assembly, what's the percentage of those in agreement with that? So the issue is, this bill was never brought out for the people. Even when you look, sorry sir, 1 second sir, don't let me lose this thought.
Okay.
Even when you look at the antecedent, like somebody was talking about from history, the history, the other time when he was contributing on the other topic. When you look at the history of this government, tell me what policy has he made that benefited the people? Is it the subsidy removal? Is it even the so-called student loan that is never there? Tell me, is it the tariff, the band A, the band B, the band C?
The president made a statement last week.
Is it?
The president made a statement last week. He said that Nigerians have been living on borrowed lifestyle. Ooh. Now that we are facing reality. Now, the central bank governor says that for 9 years, the economy grew at 1.8%. So this is the best time for us to take a hard decision.
Okay, now,
and when you
9
say,
years, sorry sir, 9 years from which year to what year?
When you say, it's said for the past 9 years.
9
now,
years. Before that 9 years, what has been happening to our economy? Was our economy not growing? Was it not just the best, the fastest growing in Africa?
Let me finish.
The third in the world?
Let me finish with the question. Now, you say that the bill is divisive, that the National Assembly cannot even agree. Isn't it a good thing for us that at least we are talking about it? Not a bill that will just pass in one fell swoop. We have people say no, we have people say yes. And the aggregation, don't you think that the aggregation of all the yes and no will help this bill, come to something that is beneficial to the people if at the end of the day it sells through that very tiny hole
I will give you an
in the eye of the Senate?
I like using analogies to answer certain questions.
Okay.
Let's look at it this way. When there was the removal of subsidy of the PMS, price of petroleum jumped up.
Okay.
Concomitant effect now on transportation. Your company, this company, haven't seen that. Did they now increase your burden of coming to the office more often, or look at how it will be balanced? Because even at that time, you see so many governors telling civil servants not to be coming to the office and be working from home, rather than now increasing the burden.
During COVID, we worked virtually, didn't we?
COVID will not even play into
these things are possible. These are possibilities.
COVID will not even walk into. We are talking about this one brought about by economic activities.
Okay.
Do you understand? COVID has to do with health.
No, I mean,
but this one economic.
There are some situations that will require that people work virtually to maximize.
Even during when these prices of petroleum went up, governors, state governors were advising, even to today, some of them even reduce the number that they come to the office. All right? Okay. Now, why are they doing that? It is to reduce the burden of the economic hardship.
Okay.
Now you are now bringing tax to further increase. Listen, to further increase
people
the
that have studied the bill too.
To further increase the hardship.
If the bill is implemented to the letter,
are you aware of the increase of VAT?
No, but the bill,
listen now,
the bill itself on income tax is going to put some kind of relief on the poor people.
Increase of VAT, what will it portend? It's simple. It's simple.
Did you consider some people have actually
when they share, will it get to you?
But share it first.
Now the transportation because that VAT again will come on petrol. It will also increase your transportation cost. It will increase your children's school fees. It will increase your housing. How much you pay on rent. It will increase foodstuff in the market. It will increase everything. Now, how much are they now going to share? Will it get to you? Remember, the amount of money they said they have made on subsidy removal, and they are sharing with governors to be able to get to the people. Is that money getting to the people? No, these are issues that we need to look at this present moment.
Let me tell you something.
Children are no more going to school.
Let me tell you something before we bring in the diaspora guests. The monies are making sense to people that want it to make sense to them. I was in the East within the week. I was in Enugu State.
What happened to your roads?
The governor seems to be doing well in Enugu State.
Doing the roads?
Yes, doing the roads.
Facilities?
Doing
the roads?
Building smart schools, building motor parks, a motor park that I used when I was in the secondary school. Gariki that has been there for ages, for years, for close to 50 years. He is remodeling it into a transportation hub.
How does that bring bread and butter? How does that bring bread and butter to the? How does that bring bread and butter to?
No, but that's the way to
start. in the market.
Okay,
that's the way to start.
That's the way to start.
That's the way to start. How does it improve?
Okay. Isn't that the way to start?
How does it reduce prices of commodities in the market? How does it reduce prices of education? How does it reduce? How does it increase access to health facilities? How does it increase? Socio-economic well-being of the people?
Okay, Dr. Kari.
That's what we're talking about.
Okay, I'll come back to you. Let's bring in our brothers in the diaspora. Now, forefathers, let me come to you now. I don't know how much of the bill that you have studied. Do you think that, let's weed off the problems with implementation. Let's even take for granted that when the bills are passed, as they are now, that we are able to implement them, at full capacity. Do you think that the bill is essentially crafted to favor the poor, as the government has claimed? Hello, forefathers, can you hear me? Forefathers, can you hear me? Okay,
his grandchildren are talking to him.
Okay, Flagship, let me bring you in now. Flagship, are you there? Hello, Flagship, are you there? Now, Dr. Damages.
I'm here.
Okay, Dr. Damages. Now, we seem to be having a glitch with the forefathers and Flagship. As we rectify that, let me ask you this question. Like I said, I don't know how much of the bill that you have studied. Now, let's even take out the fact that we might have problems of implementation. But if they are passed as they are and they are fully implemented optimally, do you think that there's a possibility that the bill is going to favor the poor? Because that is what the federal government has claimed now.
Yeah, I don't know about favoring the poor. I don't think that should be the concern. The most important thing is that the government of Nigeria, they need more money. To be able to operate. The question is, what are they doing with the ones they have, and what will they do with it when they get it? The challenge that we have with people in the north who are protesting about the bill is something that is not surprising. In general, people in Nigeria, they've not been paying taxes. And when they look at the Western societies and...
Sorry, Dr. Damages. I know you're a satirist. You talk about people in Nigeria, have they been paying taxes?
Have they been giving services to them too?
Not only giving services.
They receive services the way you receive abroad?
Not only giving services. Your president-elect has he been paying taxes?
Oh, yes.
Was he paying taxes? Your president-elect in the United States.
No,
so you see that tax evasion is
wait. I know what you're doing. Let me frame this. I was in Nigeria. I know how much I was paying in taxes when I was working in Lagos. It's nothing compared to what people pay, whether it is Europe or America or Asia, anywhere.
Okay.
People pay more taxes. You can't just avoid it. Okay. Corporations in Nigeria, they don't even pay at all. Here, people avoid it too, but most of the time, the society here functions based on the taxes that people pay, and it's not a bad thing. Okay, if it's used for services, it's not a bad thing, because one of the things that
exactly, Dr. Damages. Don't you think that what the president is trying to do is to cut off those evasions so that people can start paying taxes appropriately?
Yeah, I didn't hear the last thing.
No, what I'm saying is that you said that people naturally evade taxes, Now, part of what this bill is going to do, we have been told, is to ensure that people that are already within the tax net do not evade taxation. So don't you think that is
are they going to gain?
Don't you think that is don't you think that is a good step in the right direction? I mean, if the people within the tax net,
I think it's a good step. I have no issue with the idea of making people pay more taxes. This one of the things changes that would be very important if it could happen in Nigeria. What the problem with Nigeria is that we think that the money the country makes is from somewhere else. So it's from oil, it's from minerals. It's not from us. But the moment we change the narrative, the way we do it in the West, where people now say, this is my tax money. So I will question my governor, why are you using my tax money to buy a plane? Why are you starting an airport when you have one in Imo? You want to start one in Abia? It's my money. But because we don't pay taxes, we don't have that power to make that argument. Because this money we are spending most of the time is the one that came from Abuja, came from somewhere that we're not connected to. Most people are not connected to the Niger Delta. So I think that would be a philosophical change, a paradigm shift, if we get to that point where Nigerians will get to feel and be able to say, this is my money that you are spending. Why did you buy a private jet? Why did you buy a jet without appropriation? Okay. Why is it that we did not have a say in how you are spending our money? Now, most Nigerians cannot say our money because it's not their money.
All right. Thank you very much, Dr. Damages. Now, KJ, I would like for you to talk about why is there resistance from the, do you know, is it possible you tell us, can you read the mind of the North, to let us understand why there's this resistance from the North against this bill, even when every explanation has been made that, look, this bill is going to benefit everybody, even including the North, more than the South.
Truth is, how many Northerners are working in government that the bill will benefit? Because it keeps telling you that people who are earning below this certain threshold will not be taxed. How many Northerners are earning below that or even earning at all? And then secondly, what is there to tax really in the North? Are you going to tax people who are not even going to the farm? How are you going to do that? The North has survived all this while from federal allocations. And I'm not saying that to maybe somebody might listen to me and think I'm anti-North. No, I'm not anti-North. I'm simply saying that majority of the states in Nigeria are not viable, but they are created out of necessity. I mean, not necessity in this time, but out of the fact that they want to just keep certain things divided and make it look more popular make it more populated than they are necessarily. So the new tax reform will bring all that, into check. But you see, my own challenge with it, I've listened to both sides of the coin. I listen to my friends who are Northerners, they argue and put up what they think is the problem with it. And they feel that Tinubu is not being sincere with what the move is trying to make. And then they feel also that he's trying to hand the company to collect. They are more concerned about which company, these are things we not say of, but which company will be collecting the tax. They are refusing, and they will vehemently refuse that system that is installed in Lagos to be installed in Nigeria. They are not going to accept that. Now, the more transparent we are with these issues, the more better people can have a buy-in. But you cannot force it down the throat, just like Akpabio said, don't listen to the media. You forget, these are no longer the days of NTA. 30 million Nigerians are watching, 30 million Nigerians cannot be wrong. It has passed. It has gone with the winds. Nobody thinks NTA these days. And 9 o'clock, sit down and listen to one man tell us lies from the beginning to the end. Everybody now has news on the go. In fact, before you even say Jack, everything is gone around. Look at what has happened to Dele Fala to me. Even those who don't, friends all over. My boss in the office asked me, who is Dele? Who is Dele? I want to read the book myself. The guy, they seem to be talking about him everywhere. He's interested in African news. He doesn't use it, but they just want to know what's happening around the world and how people feel about their country, or how even outside their country is, people are feeling. So what's the problem with the bill? They are not being sincere. They want to push it down. I'm not saying that we cannot reform. And like Rudolph said, yes, most people don't pay. But when I was living in Nigeria, I used to pay tax. My own was from source. I still have my certificates here. Okay, is it ITN or whatever they call it? I've forgotten the name they call it now. But I have them because right from my salary is withdrawn, and then at the end of the year they give you the certificate for that year. So the thing is, some people who are in established organizations that are sincere pay tax. Okay. Those who want to do magomago will locally do magomago. Right. They are doing magomago because they see the leaders doing the same magomago. The rich in Nigeria don't pay tax. They don't even declare how much they own, because if you are declaring the tax and the money they own, one man will not be building 753 bungalows in that is one of his properties, not all of his property. So those people who help him to facilitate the movement of that money are not also paying tax. If they were paying, the tax regime would have been able to dictate them out. I give an example. As I'm sitting here, yours sincerely, I got a note, a letter from the IRS. IRS here means Internal Revenue, saying, "Oh boy, you are owing us, you are owing us about $500. We want it, to give us a payment plan or pay it once, and here is the address to pay. Here is the, if you want to transfer, this is what to do." This is how the system works. You cannot run away from it. Okay. If I refuse to pay, if they are kind enough, they will wait for me the next tax season. They will take out their money. You can't run away from it. But in this same system, it's man no man, friend to friend. You do all arrangements based on friendship, based on strong man. If you're a strong man, when the boys come for the attack, you say, "Oh yeah, I'm going to take this and go drink water." Everybody they go, put this in your pocket. Okay. You get money for food. Oh yeah, put this in your pocket. All right. Stop worrying. We are here to protect you. Okay, what about if government complain? Are we not the government? Who is government? So that is the problem, and that's if we don't deal with that issue. Quite unfortunate. We are going nowhere. That's the truth, sir. All right. Thanks very much, KJ. Now let me bring in Flagship. Flagship, the bill is still very controversial, but the president seems to be having his way. NOA has been drafted, into the fray to convince Nigerians, look, this tax is going to benefit everybody, especially the poor. Recall so that if you don't make a certain amount of money, I think 150 million naira per annum, you have some form of tax waivers. And that is the plan they have been selling to Nigerians, that, look, the bill is actually meant to favor the poor. Do you think that with what is going on, the resistance from the North, considering Nigerian politics, if you put history in perspective, do you think that the president will be able to have his way and have this bill passed into law?
Well, he told you this when he was running for office, the few times he campaigned. He said he was going to widen the tax net, and he would tax anything taxable. So he's fulfilling his promise that he made during the campaign season. Look, the reason why the North, in my opinion, why the North is pushing back on this now is the North at this point seem to feel like they are disenfranchised, that Tinubu has played them. So the impression they have right now is Tinubu wants to take money from the North and take it to Lagos. That's the reason why they are pushing back. They know that, or they feel rather, that there will be no meaningful contribution that this tax collection will make to them. There's nothing that will benefit them that this government will put in place in the North in the next 4 years or 8 years if Tinubu seems to get in 2027. So they have to push back to say, no, it's not going to benefit them. And you think about, my question actually is this: should Nigerians even be paying taxes this much, considering the situation in the country right now? Shouldn't the government be talking about tax relief? So maybe, I mean, palliative is not.
But there's a waiver, there's a tax waiver for people that earn below a certain amount of money. Isn't that part of the relief?
But you pay for it on your daily consumptions. That's what they say. Yes, there's a tax waiver. If you don't make 100 million a year, you're exempted from that tax. But your daily transactions are taxed in such a way that the 70,000 naira you're making a month, even if a bag of rice is 10,000 naira, you still cannot afford 3 square meals. 50 naira per transaction in the bank. Come on now. I don't remember the last time I paid a transaction fee in my bank here.
Okay.
If I see 1 cent get out of my account, if I make a transfer from my account somewhere else or make a purchase, I will call my bank and question them. Bank of America recently had a judgment against them where they had to refund a lot of these transactionary fees. And the fees are that if you bank with Bank of America and you go to Wells Fargo, for example, to use their ATM to get money out, you pay a certain fee. But somebody challenged it and it went to court. And the justice system felt that Bank of America was taking too much unnecessary fees from its customers than it should. And they were mandated to pay money back to the people. So this is what I'm talking about. Nigeria at this point should not be made to pay these taxes. It's a nice grammar in the bill to say $1 million naira or less, you don't pay taxes. But they take it from you every day. Now, here's one other thing that I find very disturbing, where they said that it is hard for the government to take taxes from corporations, bigger corporations in Nigeria. So they really cannot fathom out a way to get that money out. But rather they think that it is better and easier for them to get the money from the everyday Nigerian daily use and consumptions or transactions that they make with their bank accounts. Okay. There is no way that this will favor the Nigerian people.
All right.
But I guess he gave them 40,000 naira increase in their salary. He's going to get it back from them one way or another.
Okay, let's see how far the federal government, let's see how far the presidency can push these tax reform bills in the Senate. Forefathers, I'll come to you. We are terribly pressed for time, so I'll have to introduce the last topic. You have your take on it, and you have final thoughts on all the topics we have talked about, because we have to move on. Now, we are talking about boosting intra-African trade, with the African Continental Free Trade Agreement in focus. Because calls are growing louder for African countries to ease visa restrictions to support the African Continental Free Trade Area, AFTA, and foster regional integration. At the Global Africa Business Initiative event in New York, Africa, Africa's richest man, Aliko Dangote, highlighted the challenges, stating that he needs 35 different visas despite significant investments to visit parts of Africa. Currently, intra-African trade lags at 17%, far behind Europe's 60%. Now, the AFTA aims to increase this, potentially boosting Africa's income by 450 billion naira by 2025. Sorry, $450 billion by 2035, and lifting 30 million people out of poverty. Free movement is essential for this growth, but only 4 African countries offer free visa entry to all African citizens. The AU's Agenda 2063 and AFTA protocols aim to address these barriers, but progress is slow, with only 4 countries ratifying the free movement protocol so far. Now, boosting intra-African trade and achieving regional integration requires easing mobility restrictions, an essential step towards a more prosperous continent. Our president just came back from South Africa, and South African President Cyril Ramaphosa said that, look, I think he granted Nigerians waiver free. You don't even have to present a passport before you apply for visa. I think that's in good spirit to ensure that, look, intra-African movement and trade is expanded. We also often wonder why it is easier for us to do business with Canadians, with Americans. with Asians. Meanwhile, Nigeria and Egypt, Nigeria and South Africa, we can't even do as much as we do with UK and France. Why should that problem persist? Now, forefathers, I would like to have your reaction. Meanwhile, I also want you to understand that South Africans are kicking. They asked their president to resign because why? He offered visa-free, more like visa waivers to Nigerians. Now, you have to factor in that there's been this, altercation between Nigerians taking businesses from South Africans and all of that. I want to have your quick reaction on the need for Africa to trade more with itself than with foreigners. I don't mind if you put your concluding thoughts about all other topics that we talked about.
Yeah, thank you for that. I would just make a short statement regarding the tax reform. Tax is the backbone of most civilizations. I think ban on tax is the backbone of most civilizations. So it's a good thing to have taxes. And the Nigerian government technically has put up taxes by removing subsidies. So the Nigerians are paying a hefty amount of tax already. And living standards has increased, costs has increased in Nigeria. And I can understand why some people in the north felt like, okay, if you increase tax further, like the VAT, they want to increase to 10%, it's going to hit their population harder because they are poorer. So that is something that one can take into account, but it doesn't mean that the tax reform is wrong to do. And there's the argument that where the services and goods are consumed, that the tax is not going to be paid there. And if the tax is going to only be paid to the headquarters, then that too is not fair. Okay. The Nigerian state should know that and not try to funnel wealth towards only one section of the country. So they should fix that and also think about ways to alleviate the suffering of the people that are going to be affected by VAT increase, because VAT increase tends to affect the poorest people in society more negatively. So that is that. Regarding the issue with South Africa, the people always, they are always, they don't think strategically. Most of the South Africans have a very, very bad impression of Nigerians, maybe based on some actions of some bad actors in Nigeria.
Exactly. When you raised that issue, I wanted to talk about perception and reality. Is it not a reality? Is it only about perception?
I think it's perception. It's not the reality. There's an element of overstating the issues of Nigerians. And Nigerians don't help their kids. They are very, very loud. You saw how our pastor was showing off wealth. Our Nigerians are too flamboyant.
So it's more like reality. It's more like reality, not just perception.
I think it's perception, actually. Okay. South Africa without Nigeria is still going to be the capital, the African capital of crime that's the capital of crime for Africa. I think it's one of the highest crime capital in the world, nations in the world. So it's not Nigerians that are causing most of those crimes. If you look at the statistics, it shows clearly that it's not Nigerians alone that are causing the crimes. As a matter of fact, some of the most egregious crimes that I've heard of in South Africa is done by Nigerians or even fellow Africans. But for some reason, there has been the population there, just as Nigerians are being conditioned to love Europeans and think that Europeans are gods and all the rest. But that's how South Africans are conditioned to hate fellow Africans and love the Europeans in their country. So when they hear about Nigeria, they push back. When they hear about fellow Africans, they push back.
All right.
But in the end, we are their friends and we are family. They like it or not, they will have to make their peace with that.
All right. Thank you very much, forefather. Now, let me come to you, Flagship. Quick one. How often do you trade with fellow Africans, even when you are in the US? Or do you trade more with Asians and Canadians and all of that? Quick one, and let's have your final thoughts on the topics we talked about. 2 minutes. 2 minutes, please. Just 2 minutes.
Yeah, I won't take more than that. Listen, that's a funny question. You see, over here in the West, there's a trend that goes on. Africans, we trade with ourselves, most especially when we have items that we're trying to get, which we can't find anywhere. But lately, the Chinese, the Koreans, and I think more recently, the Lebanese, here in the West, I'll speak for my state, they've started opening shops where they trade or they sell these items that we use in Nigeria, our local products, gari, pepper, name them. But it's funny to see that if you have a Chinese merchant has a store and next door is a Nigerian, a lot of times Nigerians gravitate towards the Chinese to make their purchases. And it's a common trend here. The thing that I think in NS is honesty and simplicity in doing business is why many Nigerians try to gravitate away towards the Chinese and away from their own people. With South Africans, they have benefited more from us than we have from them.
All right.
MTN, ShopRite, and the rest of them. They have carted away millions of dollars from Nigeria for the number of years that they've been there. Nigerians in South Africa are just hustlers that are doing trade. So I don't see how that hurts their economy, that they will push for us to be pushed, or their president to resign because he gave visa-free entry to Nigerians coming to South Africa.
All right.
Like forefathers said.
Thank you very much, Flagship. Thanks very much, Flagship. Now, KJ, let me come to you. KJ, what's your reaction? Africans don't trade with each other, but they trade more with foreigners, with Europeans and Asians. What can we do to stop that, please? KJ, can you hear me? Hello, KJ, can you hear me? Now, Dr. Damages, let me bring you in. Dr. Damages, I want your quick reaction on after African Continental Free Trade Agreement. It is still lagging. Africans don't trade with one another. They still trade more with Europe, America, and Asia. What do we do, to reverse this trend? Quick one.
Okay, quickly. I think it's just about telling people, make them understand the advantage. We don't understand the advantage, and that's why. And there's resistance. Some of them are from colonial legacies. So for the French didn't really want their colonies to deal with the English colonies. So it's a long-term thing. We have to. Everything is about understanding, about lecture, about studying, and about helping our people to understand that all the past should be put away and move in a different direction, because the world is moving in a different direction.
All right, thank you very much, Dr. Damages. KJ, if we have you now, can I have your quick reaction? Hello, KJ, are you there? Okay, sorry, we lost him. Now, let me bring you back to the studio. Dr. Kayode, Dr. Dayo Kayode, very quick one, please. We are desperately running out of time.
You see, that of AFTAC, I've been saying it, two things. Number one, do we love ourselves in Africa? No. Number two, does Nigeria itself has that capacity? No. And I'll give you an example. Let's take, for instance, the aviation industry, which I'm vast.
Well, you're a player, yes.
Now, that trade treaty is saying that South African Airways, for instance, can now take off from Nigeria to any part of the world.
Okay.
That means Nigeria should be able to retaliate.
It's a good one.
To also move. It's a good one, but we don't have the capacity. Tell me, how many aircraft do we have in Nigeria that are flying?
Okay, that can fly from Joburg to Brazil.
Do you understand? Okay. Now, listen again. When those people bring their own aircraft here, go and check their staff. They will bring their people to come and head their station office here. So how do we retaliate over there?
Because we don't have.
So that was when that thing was muted. I think about 5 or 6 years ago, when, what was his name? Rauf Aregbesola was talking about it. I said, Mr. Man, do we have the capacity? Let us stop. Yes, it is good. But let us start developing to what extent are we developed capacity? Let me quickly say 1 minute on the tax. Tax is good. Tax is good. But the problem we have in this country is this. There is huge truth gap between the government and the people. And hence, no matter what they say, no matter how good it is, it will be difficult.
All right. I think this after thing, we need to expand it, because I also want us to talk about African growth opportunities.
Yes.
Which is very huge.
Look at our Greek. Look at our Greek.
Huge.
Look,
huge. And I understand that KJ is back. KJ, can we have your quick take and your concluding talk on the topics we discussed this afternoon?
And I will agree with what Dr. Rudolph has said. I'm sure he didn't have enough time. He will have also included that what we need right now is to redraw our own maps. I mean, relink our people by tribes and by location, begin to re-educate our people, because some of the stories and the histories we have read are not exactly correct as they should have been. We should start telling our children and bringing this to play, because I don't see the reason why the Yoruba group in Lagos are different from the Yoruba group in Benin. So if we can start connecting those together, our people will see the reason why to have a mindset and be able to do business together. South Africa should always know that we, as Nigeria, today one of the problems Nigeria is facing around the globe is because of the role we played in getting South Africa to where it is today. So if they think that they can become today now become a country and don't like Nigerians, it's okay. The only reason why that is happening is because we have had leaders who are not able to maximize the opportunity.
Right.
I was part of the people who came to visit Bill Clinton when he came to Nigeria. I was still in the university then, and he told us right to our faces that the world expects Nigeria to be the next leader in the next generation. I mean, the next millennium. 2 millenniums are past now, and we're still not there. So we should put our acts together and take ourselves to where we should be.
I think we really need to put our acts together. Thank you so very much, KJ, and thank you, gentlemen, for a very profound and wonderful thoughts. Unfortunately, this is where we have to anchor. This is where we have to wrap up this show. We've been talking about, politics, governance, political and developmental issues in Nigeria. And I had in the studio with me Dr. Dayo Kayode. Dr. Kayode is a socio-political technocrat and aviation safety expert. Dr. K, thanks for being on this
Thanks
show.
for having me.
I also had Dr. Damages virtually. Dr. Damages is a satirist, a writer, journalist, and an adjunct professor at the School of Visual Arts in New York City. We also had Flagship. Flagship is a clinical research operations lead and business entrepreneur based in Atlanta, Georgia, in the United States of America. KJ also joined us. KJ is a media production and training expert and joined us from Maryland, in the United States of America. We also had Ford Fathers. Ford Fathers is an engineer with interest in strategic politics and national security issues and joined from the United Kingdom. Gentlemen, thanks very much for being on this show. The show comes up every Saturday from 3 to 5 p.m. Nigerian time. We encourage you to click on the like button and subscribe to our page. On YouTube, we are Voice of the People TV, and on other social media platforms, we are at VOP TV Live. You can also visit our website for more interesting and trending stories. We are at www.vop.ng. Keep a date with us next week for another interesting edition. I've been your host, Chukwuma Okoro. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.